Okay, I'm sorry, I had a problem with my connection. I don't know if you can listen to me. Can you listen to me?
Yes.
Okay, well, so sorry. I'm having a problem with my computer. But anyway, I'm gonna share meanwhile, my screen. Okay. But before, let me see. Yeah, I have to share this. Okay. And while my computer is responding, I will share my screen through my cell phone, I think. I have no other option. Okay. Uh, we were working with degrees of modifier, right? I don't know if you can see right now that. Can you see my presentation? Okay. So we were talking about, for example, there is too much furniture in this room. There's not enough space. There were too many people and not enough chairs. We use too much, too many, right? When we talk about too much, definitely we are talking about, for example, too much, with much, but enough, we can say enough, before, after, right? There is, previously we said that two is more than necessary and enough is less than is necessary. And there's not enough space, right? Not enough space. And there were too many people and not enough chairs. So the other one that we have talking about enough and two, there is enough and two plus four and two. We say enough or two, enough four or two four. Let's look at the first example. Can you read the first sentence, please? Does Rose
Have enough experience for the job.
Okay. This bag isn't big enough for all my clothes. For example, enough for, and sometimes we can separate by, look at this, does Rose have enough experience for this job? Experience is noun, right? But this bag, it isn't big enough for all my clothes. Big enough after adjectives, right? And that shirt is too small for you. You need a larger size. Too small. Enough, right? In this case, more than necessary. Too small. And what about the next one? We have enough, 2 plus 4 and 2. The same, right? The same. Does Max have enough experience to do the job, right? And let's get a taxi. It's too far to walk from home from here. And that's there. He's taking a taxi, right? That's that little boy. He's not old enough to have a driver's license. And old enough, after, always after a subject. Oh, sorry, an adjective, right? Old enough. Enough to. And let's continue with the next one. What do we have here? Enough to plus 4 and 2. The next example has both 4 and 2. The bridge is just wide enough for one car to pass. Okay. The bridge is just wide enough. We use wide is an adjective, right? For wide enough for car, right? To pass one another. Yes, it's just one trail in one way, right? There's not possible to use two cars in that bridge. And too hot to eat, for example, more than necessary, right? We say the food was very hot. We couldn't eat it. And the food was so hot that we couldn't eat it. Or the food was too hot to eat, not to eat it, right? When I talk about hot, that means spicy, right? Do you like spicy food, Cynthia?
Yes, teacher, I'm a cochala.
Yeah, you are a Cochala. So in Cochabamba, people like to eat a lot of spicy food, right?
Yes.
It's very common. It's very common to eat. And it's delicious. I used to hate the spicy food in the past, but not now. I love it. Since maybe I lived in Cochabamba. No, not because of that, but recently I love to eat spicy food. And yes, oh, sorry. So it's interesting when we say too hot to eat, right? The food was very hot. We can use also very, that's a kind of intensifier. We can use the other one, which is so hot, right? Or too hot to eat. More, okay, a lot of things that it's possible to use. Talking about that. Okay, and what else? The other one is in the same way we say, these boxes are too heavy to carry, not to carry them, right? Too heavy, more than necessary. And the wallet was too big to put in my pocket. And we had another one. This chair isn't strong enough to stand on, right? Looks very weak, right? Strong enough. But the only thing that we have to be taking into account is also if we are using after adjective or after or before the noun, only that. That's important when we talk about too or enough. Okay, let's continue with the next one. There are some practices with too and enough. We're gonna practice in a moment. But let's continue with the other one. These modifiers also are important in English. The modifiers like quiet, pretty, rather, and fairly. Okay. Quite and pretty are similar in meaning. That means less than very, but more than a little. It's like regular. It's in the middle. Read the sentence, please.
Okay, I'm surprised you haven't heard of her. She's quite famous, or she's pretty famous.
Less than very famous, but more than a little famous. Did you hear about this girl, Alina Santander?
No, teacher.
She's a girl, I think she's from La Paz, but she's in NASA. She studied English and she won a scholarship, and now she is, her name is in the What is the last satellite, or sorry, the car that sent to the Mars? The first one was Curiosity. I don't remember this. I think is the last little car that they sent. Uh, it's not Curiosity, right?
Yes, I don't know that information.
Yeah, but is her name. She collaborated. She's a Bolivian girl. She collaborated to go to make the car for the Mars, for the planet Mars. Alina Santander. It's interesting her story. She's from Bolivia, from La Paz. Um, okay. And well, the next one. Can you read the sentence, please? Quiet and pretty.
Anna lives quite near me, so we see each other pretty often.
Yes, pretty often. And pretty is an informal word and is used mainly in spoken English. Pretty. It's more common to say quite near, quite often, but pretty often also. Muy seguidos, something like muy, pretty. And the other one is quite and pretty. So quite goes before a or an. We can say we live in quite an old house, not a quite old house. We say we live in an old house. Well, sorry, we live in quite an old house. So we have Sarah has quite a good job. Sarah has quite a good job, or Sarah has a pretty good job. These are two options also. The next one is quite and pretty also, but you can also use quite but not pretty in the following ways. Usually we say, we're going to use quite plus the noun. I didn't expect to see them. It was quite a surprise, quite a big surprise. Okay, quite a big surprise. We cannot say pretty a big surprise. In that case, we use necessarily quite. And the next one is quite and pretty, but quite a lot. We have there quite a lot. There were quite a lot of guests at the wedding. Quite plus verb, especially like enjoy. Uh, I quite like salsa, but it's not my favorite kind of music. What's your favorite music, Cynthia?
Maybe pop,
Oh,
pop music.
okay. Pop music, right? Pop music. Okay. And you can say and what else you like, but not very much. Some music. How can you use with one example?
I don't like to listen K-pop music.
Okay, you quite listen. You quite like K-pop. Do you like K-pop music?
No.
And then you can say I don't like, right?
Yes.
I don't like K-pop music. Okay. And how about the next one? Rather, quite, and pretty also. It's a different kind of modifier. Okay. For example, Rather is similar to quite and pretty. We often use rather for negative ideas and things we think are not good. For example, the weather isn't so good, it's rather cloudy, for negative things. For positive examples or sentences, we're going to use quite, right? But not positive exactly, usually for negative also. Paul is rather shy. He doesn't talk very much. That's an example also. Using rather and quite. In this case, rather, right? For negative statements. And what about the next one? We have rather, quiet, and pretty. A well, we can say quiet is also possible in these examples. For example, when we use rather for positive ideas, we want to say nice. It means unusually or surprisingly. These oranges are rather good. These oranges are rather good.
I can hear you, teacher.
Now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
So sorry. I don't know what happened with my computer. But anyway, we were working with rather quiet and other things. Let me share, please, the one that we are working with. Okay. Okay. And I was showing you a nice picture about a boy, and it was about, I think it was quiet and rather. Okay, usually we have quite, pretty, rather, and fairly also. Quite and pretty are similar, right? That means less than very, but more than little. We said we were talking about Alina Santander, who's a Bolivian girl who's in NASA. Anna lives near. Okay, I explained this one on this one. So we live in a quite an old house, not a quite old house. And Sarah has quite a good job. We said that, and I didn't expect to see them. It was quite a surprise, quite a big surprise. I think this was from a play, a theater. There were quite a lot of guests at the wedding. Quite plus verb, especially like and enjoy. I like salsa, but it's not my favorite kind of music, I can say. Rather is similar to quite and pretty. We often use rather for negative ideas. For negative, right? The weather isn't so good. It's rather cloudy. Paul is rather shy. He doesn't talk very much. Okay. So as we have here, usually we use for negative examples. Quite and rather. You can listen to me, right, Cynthia? Can you listen to
Yes.
me?
Yes, I hear.
Okay, thank you. Quite is also possible in this example. For example, we use rather for positive ideas Now, when we use for positive ideas, good or nice, it means unusually or surprisingly. The oranges are rather good. Where do you get them? It's surprisingly delicious. Do you like orange juice?
Yes, yes, I like it.
It looks very juicy and delicious, right? Right now,
Yes.
very tasty. Okay. And fairly is weaker than quite, rather, and pretty. Fairly is very weak. You can also say it's fairly good. It means it's not very good, but it could be better. Not too bad, right? My car is fairly big, but I prefer a bigger one. Or like this. We see each other fairly often, but not as often we used to. And quite also means completely. For example, are you sure? Yes, quite sure, completely sure. Quite means completely with a number of adjectives, especially with sure, right, okay, quite sure, quite right, quite true, quite clear, quite different, quite incredible, quite amazing. All of them are with quite certain, quite wrong, quite safe, quite obvious, and quite unnecessary, or quite extraordinary, we can say, or quite impossible. That's also possible to use with quiet. All of them, all of these adjectives can go with quiet. We can use with quiet. Talking about the adjectives of modifiers, right? I'm sorry. Okay, and the next one is I don't know what happened with my computer. I don't know what I have to clean. Oops, it stopped. But we're gonna continue. I'm gonna open one more time. Oh, yeah, I know why it's not responding because something was in process. But okay, let me open one more time. So these are some adjectives that we can use. Quite is very possible to use. It's possible to use with any different kind of adjectives, of course. Yeah, I made this presentation and I think it's, I don't know, maybe I put too many heavy images or very, but there's no excuses. I don't know what happened. Anyway, okay, let's continue with the one that I was trying to share. There we go. And fairly, right? And we said that quite goes with all of this. It's possible. Quite sure, quite clear. And the next one is also quite. She was quite different from what I expected, completely different. Everything they said was quite true, completely true. I think it has to be he, not she, right? Because it's he. And let's continue with the next one. Quite is also possible to use with we use we also use quite completely with some verbs. For example, I quite agree with you. Just a moment, please. I'm trying to do something. I wanna share. I wanna go live on YouTube, but I'm sorry, Cynthia. I don't know what happened with my computer. I will fix for Monday, but thanks for your patience.
No, teacher, it's okay.
And we were talking about she was quite different from what I expected, completely different. Okay, quite. And then we have the other ones that are also talking about quite. Maybe this, maybe my PowerPoint has a kind of virus. Okay, we also use quite completely with some verbs. Wow, I think my presentation is the problem, probably. Okay, Cynthia, but we're gonna work. By the way, there's gonna be activities. Okay, no, the activities is already available in the platform. That is about okay about the lesson one, and also make I will make available the other one. So the quiz it's gonna be available also. Okay, and I don't know if you have any questions about the activities. Maybe are you in the? Did you check the platform in Pearson or not yet?
Not yet, teacher.
Okay, I think you should do it. Especially to do. You were working previously with other teacher and with the same platform, right? With Pearson. Okay, I think you were working with the same platform, and only you have to use the code. And according to that, it's going to be possible to work with that. So, yeah, I was working with this, but I don't know what happened. Okay, we're talking about white. It's very sad to see my. Definitely doesn't work. But anyway, the idea was to understand quite and to. We said that quite we use for example, not enough, right? Or two we use for something more than necessary, less than necessary, we use enough. Um, Not enough in this case, right? So yeah, definitely it doesn't work. I don't know what really happened with my computer. But thanks for being in the class, Cynthia. I'm sorry for things that happened today. I didn't expect this to happen. I promise I will fix my computer for Monday. I don't know if you have any questions, Cynthia.
No, teacher.
Okay, so sorry. I promise I will fix that for Monday. Still failing. Yeah, we're gonna continue with something, but Monday we will finish this unit and we will start on Tuesday the next unit. Okay, thank you very much, Cynthia, for being in the meeting. We're gonna see each other on Monday. Thanks for your patience as well.
No, teacher, it's okay. See you Monday, teacher.
See you on Monday. Have a nice weekend. Okay, bye, Cynthia. Bye bye.